All right, we are off and running here. Let's see, Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Wednesday, February 26th. Welcome to another Water Cooler Wednesday, where we try to bring you some nice case studies, success stories, things going on in the note investing industry. And if you like the show, you can see the full video on YouTube, by the way. You can listen to the audio on my podcast, Real Estate Without Renters. And please, if you go to any of those sites, give us a nice rating, give us a follow, if you will, so we can help grow this audience, and it helps us be inspired to keep doing these and keep bringing you all this wonderful content that we can provide. I'm joined by Dwayne Gibbs, as always. Dwayne, how's it going?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Got the sun beating down on me this morning, which is a good.
Yeah.
We've had rain the last couple of days, so it's nice to have the sun showing up. But we just got done working out. You'll see my tip of the day from this morning coming out.
Mm.
I put a tip of the day, by the way, everybody on Facebook and LinkedIn and X and Instagram and YouTube as well, so you can check those out also. But water cooler gives us a chance to spend a little bit more time, about 30 to 40 minutes or so, hitting some interesting topics. And I do appreciate all the feedback we've been getting from the show. So thank you all for that. Dwayne's getting ready, as I am, to fly out to Phoenix pretty soon. And one of the things I've been doing for probably 15 years is putting together data and mostly delivering it, but sometimes putting together data for other people to deliver for the state of the industry. And I was thinking about that this morning on my walk, and because I've been doing all this research, and in years past, Wayne, you've seen me do these so many times. I have all the charts and the graphs and show you where the trends are going and everything else. And this is the first time that I'm really trying to find the deeper trends. And I think we have gone on real estate more local than I've seen in a long time. And what I mean by that, before you make a comment on it, is give your thoughts on it. Is there's always real estate's always local. I get that, everybody. We get it. But there were certainly strong national trends that you could see that would either ripple across the country, but there were certainly trends that were absolutely 100% predictable going back for years. And I would track all those things. And this time, everything just seems splintered, man. Just trying to identify a trend that's hitting the country is really impossible. It's very fractured right now. It's much more localized.
Really?
And I think what that means for investors is, if you're in a market like traditional real estate, your backyard's either good or it's not good. Most real estate investors are looking for that, it's got to be the property in my backyard sort of thing. Very different than the note business in that aspect. But if your backyard is sucking wind right now in real estate, it's not going to change, for a while. You're going to have to either learn some new techniques in that area, or you're going to have to move outside your area. I just don't see alternatives.
I just got off the phone with my buddy Rob, who has, I would say, roughly 230 properties that he manages. It's his and a couple investors. So he runs all that. And then he has probably about 55, 60 of his own properties. And he told me, he's like, Dwayne, I'm just having a rough time finding deals. It's rough. They do rehab and they do everything. And
Yeah.
he said, I'm really, I know you've talked so much about the note business, about getting into it, and I'm just lacking some inventory. Now I'm in, North Carolina, about an hour and a half from Charlotte, and he has most of his properties in Charlotte. And
Mhm.
having to come more out into the suburbs of trying to find deals, an hour away of trying to find stuff. And then he
Yeah.
has to go all the way on the other end of town of meeting contractors and all. And he has gotten into building homes. And he says it's way more expensive. It's not a route that he wanted to go down, but the alternative is, what else am I going to do? I'm not finding any inventory, and the prices are so inflated. And so we have had way more conversation in the past 15 years of knowing them, now more so of talking about the note business.
Yeah.
Alternative ways of not necessarily stopping what he's doing, but looking at something different. And you're right. You hear that from some people, and then others, it's that they're not having an inventory problem, which like you said, it's splintered. It's hard to throw a dart at it.
Yeah, I mean, I even rental property, so landlord type investors, even, how many years ago you go back and it's like, oh, turnkey, buy turnkey rentals. That was the thing, and everybody was buying, oh, you got to buy turnkey rentals. You don't hear that anymore. Why? Because it's not the case anymore. I mean, I've been reading stuff about it, and most landlords, at least in Florida, again, I realize things are fractured right now, but more and more stories I'm reading about in most areas, certainly not all, but landlords, they're really tight, with all the expenses. Because again, when expenses go up and tenants are saying, hey, you got to fix this, you got to fix that, all that positive cash flow, after expenses that you've been getting, that gets eaten up. And there's
Mm.
landlords that one thing goes wrong and their cash flow for 6 months is gone. It's out the window. And they're counting on that appreciation, but appreciation is starting to, peak off, and in some cases even go down. So it's a lot riskier. In fact, even a friend of mine here who knows the business sent me information on a triplex. Now he knows that I'm not interested in doing that, but he just thought through my connections I might know somebody. But I ran an analysis on it for the heck of it, myself, and they were asking too much for the property to support
Mm.
the rent and to support potential appreciation. It's in a good area. I like it. It's got good qualities to it. But you start to look at the soft spots, and you're like, man, a couple things go wrong on this, and I'm negative cash flow. And plus, it's written at it's priced right now at a 5% cap rate.
Yeah.
So 5% return on and dealing with all the other stuff, it's just like, no way, because we're closing on notes every single week with clients where they're making double-digit returns without the BS. So I think one advantage with the note business in this kind of a economy, and the way real estate is right now, we go to where the opportunities are. So our backyard is where the deals are, and that's a big difference between the stick and brick investors who just know key areas, and even landlords. If you're the type of landlord, hey, I'll buy a property wherever it is, and the rents are good, man, you better understand that area, and you better check your numbers, and because things are changing. There's no question about it. And the problem is this time around, we don't know where they're going. That's the other thing. There's so much speculation about interest rates and affordability. So to your point, I wasn't going to show this one, but I'm showing a slide now for those who are just listening to this. This is from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it's showing the median home price in the U.S. Half or higher, half or less, $406,000. And these numbers go back to 2024. That's the latest data that they have, which is still up 4%. So property values, when you look at it there from 2020, which they have marked, where it was about 320,000 up to 406. Great if you have a house, but the other thing is we've got, I believe it's 86% of the people who own homes right now. They have interest rates under 6%. And a lot
Wow.
of them, we could break it down even further, that have interest rates under 4% and then down to 2%. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're enjoying watching their property values go up. Now, how long it'll stay like that, we'll have to see. But real estate interest rates are, and I'll just show you right there. You can see what the rates have done on and right now. They're hovering about 6.9, so it's still just under 7%. And that just makes that affordability. People can't afford those houses, so the houses that are upwards, half of the houses in the country to $400,000, it's simply not affordable when you have interest rates like this. So where are we? Are interest rates going to go down? Are they going to stay the same? What's happening with the Fed? And I think that's where a lot of this unknown is. The Trump administration is trying to wind down debt, but that so far hasn't translated into the Fed making any moves. So it's interesting. So something's going to change at some point, but I just don't know which direction that's going to be. But I can tell you, affordability wise, people are now at a national payment to income ratio as of January of this year at 33.5%. And that's steep, so even government ratios are getting pushed now to the point where they're going, well, a third, a 1/3 of people's income is just going to pay housing. That
Mm,
leaves 2/3 for everything else. And,
right.
what are they going to do? They're going to change the lending rates again? Are they going to get more aggressive and do more loans? Well, we might be setting up for failure like what happened last time.
I don't know if we'll see that. I don't to the extreme that we did before. I can't see that happening.
No, they have stop gaps, I think, in place, but even 20% of what happened before is a significant shift. I mean, when you look at this to the mortgage debt, Americans own $12.59 trillion on basically 85 million mortgages. So 70% of our consumer debt is mortgages. So a shift in that market is significant. And what's going to happen? I agree. I don't think it's going to be like it was at the last great crash. I think they learned their lessons, and they'll probably come up with government programs again that help people stay in their homes. And again, that brings us back to the note business. In the note business, when we had that tremendous crash from before, it opened up the floodgates for these government programs. I think I have a chart on that too. Yeah. So for those who can't see that, back in 2009, 2008, 2009, we peaked at almost 6 million people who had loans that were facing foreclosure, and it was very, very significant. And what they did was they came up with a down payment assistance program that would pay upwards in some states 100,000, but most states $50,000 to catch somebody up. And that program was used by real estate note investors who would buy delinquent notes, let the borrower know that this program existed and that this that could save their home. And so the government, they would apply, and 90 days later, $50,000 being paid on their behalf. But who's it go to? It goes to the note investor. And the note investor then work with a person and do some kind of a workout loan mod on the property and make it happen. So it's interesting to look at. And of course, the other spike that some of you might be looking at there, that's from COVID. The COVID spike bumped up to 4 million. And again, that was a significant move. So, after we had almost 6 million people and it came down, a lot of people are like, I don't know if it'll be that bad again. But with COVID, I mean, that bumped it up to 4. So we could have something like that happen. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully the rates go down. Property values are going to have to correct. Property values have to come down for people to start to afford them, even if interest rates do. But that's what leads to seller financing also. So we're seeing that growth area of seller financing. And in seller financing, people are creating notes, making it easier for people, making it affordable for people. Probably not in your backyard again, but this has been a growth area in the note business because most of the people who do this type of financing, they need and want to be cashed out of it fairly quickly. Sometimes as soon as they create the note, sometimes 3 months later, sometimes 6 months later, but they do want to be cashed out of those notes. So interesting times, that we have. But I can tell you the presentation I'm going to be doing on the state of the industry is laying all of that out, but just showing again that, man, notes is just a great place to be during this because notes make money, good economy, bad economy. It's just shifting where we look at, not always state-wise, but the type of inventory, the quality of the note. But just like anything else, we can look at the quality of the paper and then determine what price we're willing to pay for that,
Yeah.
and what risk that we're willing to take. So let's see. I got a couple of things here. If you have any comments on that.
No, I just always go back to, you know, talking with people one on one. They say, "Oh, I just want to go buy a note and have it produce income." That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
What they have to understand is if you're going to get in the note business and you're going to buy more than, 5 notes, you really need to know what in the heck you're doing in regards to the business itself. Suppose
Mhm.
something goes sideways on the note, or you buy a performing note and it goes bad. You come across a really good deal, and you need to know how to create paper, how to create that seller finance paper. And so it just goes back to being educated, having the proper person educate you in all facets of the note space.
Yeah, I agree. And be trained in all, to extend upon your point, be trained in all types of inventory as well. For example, I'm going to go through an example of a manufactured home here, because manufactured homes, the quality and everything's much better. More people are buying manufactured homes because of affordability,
Mm.
right? So it just falls in line to what you're seeing in the economy here. And too many people have a negative view of what a manufactured home is all about. Well, let me tell you something. Warren Buffett is the biggest producer of manufactured homes, and also he's the biggest financer of manufactured homes in really in the world. And there's a reason for that. He knows that it's a space that people are moving into. The quality, as I said, is much better, and they're even being built around communities. And I think some people would be shocked to see what's going on, because in some parts of the country, I get it. You have a vision of what a manufactured, certainly or a mobile home looks like, and that sort of thing. But it can vary by a very wide degree. Now, I wouldn't just specialize in manufactured homes and say that's the only type of notes that I'm buying, because now you're pigeonholing yourself and you're just cutting out other inventory. We need to have the flexibility to value manufactured homes, mobile homes, land, commercial property, residential property. When you do that, you're opening again yourself up to more opportunity in a fractured industry, real estate industry, I should say. So knowing all of that is much better than just saying, "Hey, I'm going to do it, the way um, Warren Buffett, I'm just going to focus on manufactured homes, or I'm just going to focus on land, or anything like that." I think you're making a mistake. You've got to understand that behind these notes is something of value. You just have to determine what that value is. And if you don't know how to value it, you get an expert who does, right? You get somebody who's got expertise in that area. And I think maybe I'm more open and understanding of that, possibly because, back in the day, we would buy non-real estate type of notes. When you're starting to look at lottery winnings and cellular phone tower leases and professional athlete contract and royalties, for music and that sort of thing, it's just another form of collateral you have to know how to value. So let me go through this manufactured home, and I'm going to encourage you, because Dwayne hasn't seen this case study either, and I'm going to encourage you to watch this so you can see the full video. So if you're not watching it here live and you're want to watch and you're listening to the podcast and you want to see the video version, just pop over to YouTube or on Facebook, as long as it's up there on Facebook, so you can kind of get the reality of some of the things I'm going to show you here. So I had a client say they've got a note on a manufactured home here in Florida, and they want to sell a partial on it. So this is an investor who's collecting monthly cash flow, but has a need or desire to generate some income. So instead of borrowing money, she's selling off a portion, a part, or a partial of her income stream. That's all it is. And that's one of the other beautiful things about notes. Unlike real estate, where if you sell your real estate, you sell it in profit one time. If you have a note, you can sell that note off in pieces multiple times. and just keep dipping back to the well when you need it. So that's a situation that she's in, and she's over there in Largo, Florida. So Dwayne, close to your old stomping grounds, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And manufactured, this one's in a park. Okay. And the park is it's a large one, right? So it's a whole, I don't know how many streets. I'm showing a map there that has all kinds of streets, and it's called Paradise Island. And what do they got?
Mm.
824 manufactured homes in that one community. Okay. So again, for those of you who are out in other places where
Yeah.
you don't understand how big these are big. This is a big business. So if it's not in your area, you need to change how your thought process is on this. This is a whole community with now this is a 55 plus community, but in Florida, that's easy to fill up. So 824 units. They are minutes from the beaches on the Gulf, and those are some of the nicest beaches in Florida. Golf courses, recreation centers, malls, shopping centers, everything else. And of course, they have a community center of this and a pool
Mm.
and everything else. And this is the collateral that's worth um, over $100,000, and it's got to be, in my opinion, worth a little bit more than that. But check it out.
Yeah. You know, it's funny when talking to
This
people
just
about this,
doesn't.
there's like, I'm not doing a mobile home. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're missing the whole point. There's no wheels on it. There's no hitch up front. And Florida and where we're going out in Arizona, those are the meccas. Those are gated communities, like you said, just beautiful properties.
Yeah. Now, this home that we're looking at, I'm going to do my best to describe it. And I was waiting on Dwayne's reaction there, because
Yeah.
this is so a manufactured home is just a home that is factory built in two parts. They truck it out, and then they put it on a concrete slab. And this one has kind of a buildup on it, and they put the thing together. So they're very well manufactured today. This one has an additional carport with an overhang. It has a screened-in porch in the back area. Um, and if you were to look at this home and you didn't know any, you would say this is a stick-built home, a brick and stick home, if you will.
That's how I got started. I bought in 55 in older communities and rehabbed them and resold.
Yeah,
Great. Little
yeah.
ATM machines.
Yeah, if you look at this, you'd be like, "Wow, okay, I totally get it now." So that's why it's hard for me to describe this, but the house is in perfect condition. I have seen worse, a lot worse, single family homes that are concrete block
Yeah.
or frame houses and all of that. So this is in a nice community, a nice area here, and these are well maintained. This has a homeowner association that's going to make sure that the lawn is cut, that makes sure that the streets are clean. I mean, everything is going to be set in this community here. So this house was actually purchased, if you can believe it, back in 2021 for 42,000 bucks. And
Wow.
that was a bargain, right? You can see the
That's a
down
steal.
payment, and then they sold it. They sold it with financing at 7%. Now that's bank rates, but the person didn't have to go through the bank process, the bank procedure, didn't have to look at the same debt to income ratios, that sort of thing. And the monthly payments on this, even though they've shortened the loan to 120 months instead of 360, is still less than $500 per month. And I'm telling you, when you look at this place and you go $500 per month, that is a deal. And this person's going to want to stay and pay. There's no question about that, because if they tried to go into town, especially in that area, Dwayne, there's no way they could rent a
There's no
place
way.
for $500 a month.
No.
It just doesn't exist. And here they're going to own it. They're in a nice area, like I said, pool and everything else. So again, it's a $42,000. They put 10% down, essentially 4,200 bucks down, create a $38,700 loan at 7% for 120 months. Payments are $450 per month. Beautiful. That's all we need. And it's secured by that manufactured home. Now, in the promissory notes and in the paperwork, they will actually put the information about this manufactured home into the paperwork to show that this manufactured home is a part of real property. Okay, that's what we have. Um, so let's see, proof of payments in this case was through checks, by the way. So she was self-servicing this note. Okay, the note owner self-serviced it, meaning there was no servicing company. It just, hey, send me the checks, and they were. So for me as an investor, looking at that, I have to say, well, okay, show me the spreadsheet or whatever you did, which I'm showing now on the screen. And the spreadsheet shows, great, yeah, every payment is due on the first, and they're making them, and everything's working out great. Super. But, part of your brain goes, okay, I get that, but show me proof that they're paying this because, I've got an Excel spreadsheet too, right? So proof of payments in this case was simply through checks. And uh, once I saw that, I said, great. And then it's a matter of, well, how much money, how many payments are you looking to sell? So in this case, she was looking for about 15 grand. Okay, so she has this entitlement of 120 payments minus 12 now. Okay, so she what's that, 108? So she's got 108 payments remaining, and she just wants to sell enough to raise for herself or to get for herself 15,000 bucks. So you just run the math to calculate that, and it came out to 39 payments. Now the 39 payments of $449.34 actually equates to a 9.5% yield. Okay. So most notes we can look at today will pay 10 to 12%, but
She
you
needs the
start to,
money.
as an investor, you start to look at this and go, well, I only need 15 grand. So it's a small investment. It's in a great community. I'm at low risk. The house is worth 100 grand. You're in it for $15,000. I mean, so your risk is really negligent. It just doesn't exist. You've got a note owner who's want to make sure that they get the note back after you get your 39 payments. So they're there to help. And you're making almost 10% on a self-service note. So it makes it a harder deal to pass up. Now, could you go back and negotiate a little bit and say, well, make it 40 payments, make it 45 payments and that sort of thing? Sure. Okay. So she priced it at a good price, probably priced it where if she has to give up a little bit, she'll give up a little bit because it wouldn't take much, maybe one or two payments to bump it to 10%. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I didn't run the numbers on that, but I very easily
you're
could.
probably, you're right.
Yeah, it's probably right there. And it just makes for a good, good, safe deal
Did
on,
somebody buy this yet? Was
um,
she able to do the deal yet?
not sure, not sure. I'm going to do an in-house closing on this one. And an in-house closing, by the way, means the paperwork's going to be so clean. Um, new property, one seller, one sale, one note. What do you really need? Do we need a title company? Do we need to pay an attorney to handle a closing on that? If you're a beginner, perhaps, if you've done some real estate, if you've done some notes, you're probably going to go, this is clean. I've looked it up. I looked up the public records, nothing else there. No other liens, property taxes are paid, HOA dues is paid. I'm all good. I don't need to see that paperwork. And it would just be one of those deals where she's going to sign over the documents. You can take pictures of that, send that to the person. Hey, the documents are signed. We wire the money, and she just then uploads the paperwork to us that we have pictures of. Very, very, very simple in-house closing. So cost on a closing like this is $0, right? It'll be fill in the blank contracts that we'll fill out. She'll sign. She'll pay a notary, to sign the security agreement, whatever that costs these days, and that's it. We'll just send the money over. She sends over the paperwork, and golden.
Oh, Jerry.
Sweet deal. Simple, easy, and again, you're not going into a bunch of debt. You're not taking on high risk. All the things that are going on in the regular real estate world, mortgage interest rates, appreciation, none of that matters in this deal. None of that matters. The guy's going to pay the $450 a month for 39 months. You know, the possibility that he's not going to do that are so small. And even if so, that's what's going to happen. He's going to pay those payments. If he doesn't, then you know what? It'll go down that road of we'll do some kind of a loan mod. He'll end up catching up or something like that. But statistically, in that period of time, 39 months, you're gonna be fine.
You're golden, Jerry.
You'll be fine. Yeah, golden, golden, Jerry, golden. Yeah.
Mm.
So again, you can look at, you know, with this whole state of the industry thing that I'm doing, part of my message is going to be part of my message here, which is don't let all that stuff just be like, oh my God, you know,
Bunch of noise.
you know, the world's collapsing, or you're looking at
Mm.
the other way, like, oh, things are going to get tremendously better. You know, at some point, you got to let that noise go out and focus on your own economy. And your own economy means controlling what your own investments are. You're not at the whim of the stock market going up and down when you buy this deal. If property values on this thing go up and down by 10%, doesn't affect you. If mortgage interest rates go up or down, doesn't affect you in any manner whatsoever. If rents go up or down, it doesn't matter on this type of deal. I mean, so I think when you go into the industry with that kind of an understanding, that's when you'll start to see opportunities.
I tell everybody, be a firefighter. Run into it like a firefighter would versus running away from it. Don't make excuses. Run into it and work some of these deals where everybody else says, "Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's not what I want to do." There's
Yeah.
great deals like this. This is a good, safe deal.
That's a deal anybody could. Yeah,
That's a good, safe
I
deal
hate to
for
say no
anybody to get
brainer
in.
because it's so overused and it's not true.
Right,
I
right.
mean, you still want to look at it, but I mean, you just, you know, if you use my scale analogy, this thing's like a bing, 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 bing. Yeah, we're doing it. You know, there's
Yeah,
no question
it's a good, safe deal.
on that. So, all right. Well, that's what I had for you today. We've got even though we're going to be out of town, you can still schedule a call with Dwayne. So again, if you're sitting on the sidelines and want to know more about this note business, you want to see opportunities like I just showed you right there that any one of you watching or listening to this could do with just a little bit of guidance. Um, you know, and point it in the right direction and you know, just have a checklist of what to do and any one of you can do this. There's no question in my mind. You don't have to have a big real estate background. You don't have to have a big finance background. You don't even have to use one of those financial calculators. We can show you that. I can show you how to use all of that. So schedule an appointment with Dwayne and get on the phone and let's just talk. You know, it's nice to talk with somebody these days instead of texting and emailing and going to a website or looking at an app. Just pick up the phone and let's talk person to person and see if this is right for you. And I think for most people, you'll find it is. What's not to like? So that's what I got. Dwayne, you got anything else?
No, just like what you said, call if you even have a deal and you want us to want me to look at it and say, hey, what would you do? And kind of 50,000 foot view of giving you, just don't give me a number and an address. Have some ducks in a row and let's talk about it. If we need to do that, we will. Be glad to help any way we can.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I'll put that link on there for you, everybody, and look forward to talking to you and put together another Water Cooler Wednesday for you again next week, everybody. So thanks again for tuning in. And again, if you do like the program, please let us know. You can let us know on Facebook, let us know on any other formats that we're
Hey,
using.
and also if you're in Arizona or nearby and want to go to Noteworthy, where we're going to be at this Friday and Saturday, Ben just sent me an email. It looks like there's still some spots left. So if you want to sign up, you want to attend, they can sign up.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Talk soon.